Hey guys, welcome back to Project Bodybuilding. Today I'm here with my recap of this past weekend's highly anticipated show, the 2024 Empro Classic. And wow, what a show this was. There were some interesting results in some places, but what you can't say is that it wasn't an exciting show. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's go ahead and jump into today's video. I'll be recapping all the men's divisions at the show, which means I'll be going over the men's physique, classic, and open bodybuilding divisions. Remember, if you guys like these types of videos, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Let's start this recap off with the men's physique division, where I'm just going to give you the top 5. In 5th was Dawood Wachelka. In 4th was Lenny Massive. 3rd, Fabian Fieber. 2nd, Mateos Neri Oliveira. And in 1st was City Pouillet. Congratulations to the full top 5 and to City for winning the 2024 Empro Classic men's physique division. Let's continue on to the classic physique division, starting with 5th, Florian Hartledge. 4th, German Pastor. 3rd, Mustafa Yildiz. 2nd, Luca Rager. This guy was just 22 years old. He literally turned pro a few months ago. And even though he didn't win here, he already won a show earlier this year and he has qualified for this year's Olympia. And taking a dominant win here in the classic physique division was Jose Manuel Munoz. This guy was at the show last year, but he was actually competing in the open division. He was great last year. He didn't win obviously, but he had great shape and I thought he had a great potential for a good run in the open division in the years to come. However, just a few weeks ago, he announced that he would be leaving open to do classic. And I thought that was a joke. And once I found out it was real, I thought it was the wrong choice. He's just 22 now. That's right, another 22-year-old. So I thought he'd be wasting prime growing years in exchange for a subpar physique in classic, but I was wrong. He won a show shortly after that announcement, so he was already qualified for this Olympia heading into the show, but he won the show anyways in convincing fashion. He is a former open guy, but what you get with Jose is the best of both worlds. You get a small waist with great shape, great condition, and echoes of that open size. He had more size, thickness, and maturity to his physique and some knockout shots. That rear double is actually insane. And with all those things, he was hunting for sport here, to be totally honest. Now the real question becomes, where does he place at this year's Olympia? I won't make a bold Olympia prediction yet, but right now I'm saying if he's anywhere outside the top 10, I'd be very surprised. Now let's get to the main event, and this one was crazy. This show took some crazy turns, and I gotta be honest, I was on the edge of my seat until the last name was called. Anyway, starting your top 5 was 5th, Anthony Gil. This was actually his pro debut. Coming in at the number 4 spot was Sasan Haradi. Sasan hasn't competed in 6 years, he's getting older, and he's self-coached here. He had a lot of things working against him, but those things didn't end up holding him back one bit. In fact, this was his best package ever. This was a new type of conditioning for Sasan, and his muscle maturity helped him out as well in the grainy detail aspects. He used to have a little more roundness to him, I would say, but he just got bigger here. And again, more condition, so overall it was a great trade-off. And again, this was his best physique ever if you ask me. The only thing he's really missing is a solid rear double. But that was the case back in the day too. Everything else is great though. The front, the side, his shape, his muscle bellies, mostly everything is there. And placing 4th in this lineup and holding your own against the 7th best in the world, even if he's not at his best, is no easy feat. Sasan was competing before I really got into bodybuilding. He's a little before my time. But with this physique, I think he can, and I hope he will, stick around. And taking a very disappointing 3rd was actually Miguel Crizzo. Most people had Crizzo winning the show, including yours truly, but he actually ended up in a 2-man call-out with 4th place. And credit to Sasan, but for Crizzo, this is not where he should be. He literally placed 7th at the Olympia last year and won the show last year, but he wasn't what he was at those shows. He was off. The conditioning, details, and pop just wasn't there. Both of these guys ahead of him and the guy behind him was in much better condition. The other nail in the coffin for Crizzo was the posing. He's regressed. He's back to shaking a lot again, and he messed up some poses so bad that I thought he had a shoulder injury. And hey, maybe he does. It's like the left arm can only be held so high. We saw that in the front double and in the rear double where he was overly contracting one side of his back. Overall, this was a disappointing showing, but these are things that he can fix, and pretty quickly too. Some posing practice, a little more dieting, and a better peak are all he needs, and those things really aren't that demanding. Luckily, he is trying again very soon. Remember, he is not qualified for the Olympia yet, so he has to compete again if he wants to get there, and I do think he picked an easier show to do this. Crizzo says he'll be doing the Portugal Pro, the big man weekend in early July. Like I said, he has things to work on, but they should be fairly simple fixes, so hopefully he does that within the next 3 weeks. And coming in at a very narrow runner-up spot was Behrooz Tabani. Now when I say narrow, I mean literally as narrow as it could be. 1 point at prejudging and 1 point at finals. And even though his physique is different from Crizzo's, they both suffered from the same issues, which allowed the first place to skate by and take the title. Behrooz was just not his normal self. He was also off and his poses were bad. He was shaking, losing balance, and he got gassed, just like Crizzo. That's really all there is to say. Just about everything I said about Crizzo you can say about Behrooz. This show was winnable for both of these guys, but they dropped the ball. Now just like Crizzo, Behrooz still needs to qualify if he wants to get to the Olympia, and Behrooz is choosing to stick to his original plan. At the beginning of this prep, he said he planned on on doing 3 shows plus the Olympia. He talked about doing this one, the Dubai Pro in July, and in between that he said he was going to do the Flex Pro weekend. And backstage after the show, he said that he will in fact be in Italy next weekend facing off against Nathan Diasha and whoever else may show up. Now this is going to be a good show. I'm not going to get into the breakdown of it, but Beirut doesn't have to do difficult things to be better than he was here. And he's already beaten Nathan once. Beirut just needs to lock in his posing, make some tweaks to his peak, and he'll definitely be better than he was this weekend. And taking home the 2024 Empro Classic title was William Bonac. This was quite literally the biggest upset of the year so far. No one had Bonac winning this show. Well, one guy, but everyone made fun of him. But it turns out Bonac did in fact make a comeback and win this show. He spent over a year away from the stage, and when he left, he sucked. But he had the perfect storm of events going on here. He had issues for sure, but he did his homework. He had the best presentation, and he was also in top-notch condition, all while his main 2 opponents dropped the ball there. Bonac also did perform well just straight up in the back and the side poses. However, this entire outcome is getting a lot of heat, and to be honest, I am one of those that don't necessarily agree with it. Bonac had great shots. To be honest, he probably tied Beirut in poses, or maybe even outright won the comparison like 3-5. But to me, Bonac had too many problems. The waist was atrocious. The entire midsection really was, because his abs were bad too. This area has always been a problem for Bonac, but it was definitely at its worst here. Bonac also had a couple smaller issues too, but I don't really want to get into it here as I plan on doing a full analysis of this top 2. Keep your eye out for that video, by the way. Basically, they just went with the more complete guy here. And I got serious Nick Walker versus Martin Fitzwater vibes. Remember at the New York Pro, Martin had better shape than Nick, and Martin was also pretty developed all around. Nick had worse shape, but all the body parts, the mass, and won on those bodybuilding categories. That's exactly what I felt was going on here to some extent. Now these situations do differ, and that's why I disagree with this one, but agreed with the one in New York. But regardless, we got a similar outcome. Bonac did enough in the side and the back poses while his opponents were tripping over little things. And for the judges this weekend, that was enough to give Bonac the win. Now, what I'm really interested in is Bonac's future. He's going back to the Olympia, and to be honest, I'm not super hopeful. So I'm not really looking for him to do anything crazy. I'm just looking to see what he does. Does he retire soon? Is he thinking about it? Can he actually look good at the Olympia and do well? This just adds another really interesting storyline heading into this year's Mr. Olympia. Anyway, I want to congratulate the full open top 5 and extend my biggest congratulations to the 2024 Empro Classic winner, the conqueror, William Bonac. This year's Empro show was fantastic. It did run a little late. Those bloated women's divisions have a habit of bogging shows down, but what can you do? Other than that, I thought the show was very well ran. It had a good crop of competitors and a decent live stream. I was really hyped for the show, and thankfully it lived up pretty well. With all that said, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know how you guys saw the results from the different divisions of the show, and let me know your favorite athlete from this weekend. And if you guys like these types of videos, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Finally, with all that said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
Gotta get that